Today we're talking about one of the most overused things in the world, specifically the Miranda-class starship from Star Trek. If you've watched a few episodes of Star Trek, chances are you've seen a Miranda-class starship. It is, of course, one of the most overexposed classes of vessels in the entire fleet. Seriously, you look at the Next Generation era and you see these powerful workhorses running around doing various tasks all the time. However, the little ship is incredibly durable. No, not like that one. Being active in both the 23rd and 24th centuries. What makes the ship so impressive, beyond its durability and tendency to blow up on occasion? Why does Starfleet use so many of them? Are they cheap to manufacture and then throw away in a battle, or are they just really good at their tasks? We'll explore this today as we dive into the Star Trek universe to explore the Miranda-class. Here we go. Hello, I'm Captain Jack and welcome to the Hangar Bay. On this channel, we take a deep dive into the best starships, technology, and more from your favourite sci-fi universes. Today, we're talking about the Miranda-class. It's a Federation starship first introduced in Star Trek's second feature film, The Wrath of Khan. Since then, it's become a staple point of Star Trek shows set in the 24th century, having appeared on a regular basis as a science vessel, support ship, and even a light escort. Today, we dive into the world of Trek to explore why Starfleet used this vessel so much. Remember, for the latest videos, make sure to hit that subscribe button. Let us know what you think of the ship in the comments below. And also, what would you name your Star Trek ship? Here we go. Coming in at 233 meters, the Miranda-class starship, a medium cruiser, was introduced in the early 2260s. It would suit 220 officers and crew while having a 500 personal evacuation limit. However, by the 24th century, the ship could operate with a minimum crew complement of 26 to 35 personnel due to technological advancements. The ship has a maximum warp speed of 9.2, which it can maintain for 12 hours. The starship would feature your typical primary hull. However, it would lack the secondary hull typically found on the likes of Constitution-class starships like the original USS Enterprise. Further comparisons to the Constitution class included a similar saucer section. However, the bridge module, positioned on top in the center, was shaped differently from that of a Constitution-class starship, mounted on the underside of a primary hull with a warp nacelles. One is located on the port and the other is on starboard as usual. The docking port was located on the primary hull, which could be found on the forward section of the starship. Two shuttle bays were located on the ship's aft section and separated by the Miranda-class impulse engines. Each bay was numbered. Bay 1 is on the aft port side and Bay 2 is on the aft starboard side of the ship. Sometimes the ship held escape pods capable of evacuating personnel from the ship. This was seen in use on board the USS Saratoga during the Battle of Wolf 359. The Miranda class could be told apart from similar classes such as the Soyuz class or the Farragut type starship via the roll bar located on top of the main hull. Supported by two pylons on the port and starboard sides, the roll bar featured a middle pod containing tactical systems. Weapon-wise, the original Miranda class before refits featured 4 photon torpedo launchers, 6 Type 7 phaser arrays, and 4 phaser arrays. The roll bar on top of the Miranda class allowed for more significant offensive capabilities. The middle pod contained 2 forward and 2 aft facing torpedo launchers. Additionally, the bar featured twin phaser emitters located on each shoulder. As proven in the Battle with Khan, these additions made the ship more useful in combat situations. By the 24th century, the tactical systems of the Miranda class had been upgraded, which would help with Star Trek Deep Space Nine's The Dominion War and engagements with the Borg. Such tactical upgrades included a phaser array mounted on the lower part of the starship's central dome. As well as that, photon torpedo launchers were installed in the main part of the ship's hull rather than in the pod on the roll bar. By late 2373, there were at least 5 known hull configurations for the Miranda class. The Miranda class with the roll bar was considered the default and traditional layout for the starships of this class. However, some other configurations would lack the roll bar layout. Some configurations featured 2 large sensor pods on the port and starboard side of a primary hull. These could be swapped out depending on the mission parameters a particular Miranda was assigned to, whether it be scientific or in times of war or border patrol. The 23rd century design of the Miranda class features a similar layout to other vessels in this era of the Star Trek universe. A bridge was located on Deck 1 and was your command and control center of the starship. As per Starfleet standards, the bridge would contain all the typical systems you are used to, such as a view screen, navigation, and helm consoles. The captain's chair was aft of the aforementioned stations. The rear of the bridge features a single turbolift entrance. However, the rear also featured 2 unique stations for the Miranda class, which were the master situation station on the starboard side and then the tactical station on the port side of the bridge. It appears this bridge design would remain in use for some time, as the USS Saratoga had a similar layout a few years later. However, as with the class, the arrival of the 24th century brought significant upgrades. Layout was changed, as seen on board the USS Lantry. It was now a simplistic design, featuring a large LCARS interface and star charts at the rear of the bridge. The helm and nav stations were were separated, and the helm was replaced by the con station and op station. Given the ship class was constructed around the same time as the refit Constitution class was introduced, the interior layout, such as the ship's corridors, were the same. Yet later starships such as the USS Saratoga, Sisko's vessel, would feature more heavily fortified interior designs. Main engineering was again very similar to the Constitution class, with a single vertical warp core and levels surrounding it. Other interior locations were also standard design for the time, such as the transporter room, which contained 6 transport pads. However, these transport controls could be commanded from the bridge of the Miranda-class. Useful to scientific missions, I'd say. The outer rim of the primary hull and source section was where the crew quarters were located. These quarters were standard Starfleet design. However, given their placement in the ship, they featured numerous large support braces to reinforce them. Due to the location, large picture windows allowed the crew to have better visibility outside of the ship. Introduced in the 2260s, one of the first Miranda-class starships would also become one of the most famous. The USS Reliant was launched in 2264 and was one of the first Miranda-class starships Starfleet put into service. By 2285, it was attached to a secret Project Genesis and, therefore, at the disposal of Doctors Carroll and David Marcus. The science team worked from the regular One space station, while Reliant would be out in the frontier searching for lifeless planets for the secret project. However, the Reliant would encounter something far worse. Under the command of Captain Clark Terrell and his first officer, Pavel Chekhov, the ship approached the planet of Ceti Alpha 6, which was actually Ceti Alpha 5. Upon beaming to investigate, the crew found Khan Noonien Singh, a superhuman augment exiled to the planet after his previous run-in with Starfleet aboard the USS Enterprise under Captain Kirk. Khan captured the crew and eventually used mind control Ceti Eels to hijack the Reliant and moon her crew on the planet's surface. Khan learned about Project Genesis and proceeded to move to Regular One, stealing the device's secrets and torturing the scientists. Reliant was then used to intercept Admiral James C. Kirk aboard the USS Enterprise, an individual Khan blamed for his exile and the loss of so many of his followers. Khan and his followers used Reliant's weapons to deal crippling blows to the Enterprise. Eventually, Kirk and his crew turned the tide, albeit briefly, and caused severe damage to Reliant by using the computer's prefix code. Final engagement between the two ships took place in the Mutara Nebula. While Khan had the upper hand against the damaged Enterprise, he ultimately lost the battle. The Enterprise outmaneuvered Reliant and disabled it with phasers and photon torpedoes, destroying much of its port nacelle and weapon pylon. Khan, however, would not go so quietly. The augment armed the Genesis device and detonated it, destroying the USS Reliant. However, this would not end the Miranda-class line of starships. Several others were active in the mid-2280s. The class was still being used in the 24th century, with Starfleet constructing many new vessels. As the 24th century Starfleet encountered more formidable adversaries, such as the Borg, the Miranda-class was present in several major Federation engagements. A notable ship of its class at the time was the USS Saratoga, NCC 31911. It was where Lieutenant Commander Benjamin Sisko was stationed at the time of the Battle of Wolf 359. After sustaining a crippling blow, the ship was evacuated before it was destroyed via a Borg cutting beam in combination with a warp core breach. With the Dominion War outbreak, Starfleet relied on the Miranda-class's escorts and light frigates. These ships saw action in many famous battles such as Operation Return, the First and Second Battle of Chintoka, and the Battle of Cardassia. One such notable ship was the USS Majestic, which took part in Operation Return under the command of Captain Benjamin Sisko and the USS Defiant. Unfortunately, the ship was destroyed in the battle after trying to break the enemy lines. A Jem'Hadar battlecruiser delivered the finishing blow with a torpedo, which severed its starboard nacelle. While the Dominion War cost Starfleet many ships, the Miranda-class was still in use by the end of the 2370s. In the early 2380s, the USS Macduff, a Miranda-class ship, was featured in a holodeck program by Ensign Beckett Mariner. Therefore, it suggests that Starfleet still used the versatile Miranda-class by this time. The ship appears to have been one of the longest-serving Starfleet starships, having been at least in service for 111 years. By the early 25th century, the Miranda-class had been succeeded by the newly introduced Reliant-class line of starships, named after the notable USS Reliant that Khan had hijacked. Bearing similarities to the predecessor class, the Reliant class was present heavily alongside the Sagan class at USS Stargazer, and a fleet of numerous other starship classes in dealing with the arrival of a new Borg Queen and the Collective. Such Reliant-class ships included the namesake of the class, the new USS Reliant, the USS Clark, and the USS Uhura, named after the legendary Starfleet officer Norioto Uhura. By 2401, several of these Reliant-class starships appeared in Star Trek Picard's third season via the Frontier Day celebration. Ships in the successor class included the USS Tijan, USS Tyro, and USS Salash. Did you know that the designers of the Miranda-class, which was introduced with the USS Reliant, relished the opportunity to make the first new Starfleet ship to be seen on screen since the USS Enterprise? Star Trek II: The Wrath of Khan marked the first time a Starfleet starship had been seen on screen that was not a redressed Enterprise model. Reliant was designed, therefore. The Miranda-class was born on screen. However, the name of the class was not mentioned in the dialogue on screen in Star Trek. The show's art department coined the name to refer to the ship design until Star Trek: The Next Generation. While Star Trek: The Voyage Home would refer to the Miranda-class as a Reliant class, Scientia on The Next Generation made mention of the Miranda-class, and dedicated reference materials such as the Star Trek Encyclopedia did so as well. Production designer Joe Jennings and art director Mike Minor were the two main people behind the ship. However, there were contributions by Lee Cole as well. The goal was to make the ship look different from the Enterprise. However, they needed to be recognized as a Starfleet starship. The creators faced the challenge of making Miranda look different, but like it was from the same design era as the Enterprise. Originally, the Miranda-class was designed in a different configuration. The idea was to have the warp nacelles above the deflector dish, and then two counterbalancing torpedo pods on the bottom. However, when the designers sent off their finished concept art for approval to Harve Bennett, he viewed the designs upside down and approved it. The producers debated sending it back the right way around, but decided to add the roll bar to balance out the drop nacelles. Perhaps the most challenging part of the design was the physical filming model. It took months to build. As The Wrath of Khan was filmed many decades ago, a physical studio model was built for filming. Industrial Light and Magic, the visual effects team on Star Trek: The Wrath of Khan, did this. Under the supervision of model maker Steve Galway, it took an entire team around 4 months to construct the ship's model. While the model for the USS Enterprise was somewhat difficult to film with, ILM did not want the same mistake for the Reliant. The Reliant studio model would be used numerous times to stand in as the Miranda-class, notably used for the USS Lantry in Star Trek: The Next Generation. However, to make the ship appear different, the roll bar was removed. Yet, this wasn't planned. The model had just been used in Star Trek IV as the USS Saratoga. However, the effects crew could not get the internal lighting and the roll bar to work on time, so they removed it. Hence, the USS Lantry did not have a bar installed, making it appear different. Once again, the model would be used for the USS Britain in The Next Generation, with only minor modifications this time around. The visual effects team had fixed the roll bar, therefore, Britain appears as a standard configuration for the Miranda-class. Interestingly enough, the model of the USS Britain actually says USS Britain on it. A misspelling on the ship is meant to honour Walter Hauser Britain, a famous American physicist. The challenge came when the production of Star Trek: The Next Generation had to create modifications to the Miranda-class model for the USS Bozeman. Each as the Soyuz class in Next Generation's 5th season episode Cause and Effect, they wanted to make the ship look different. This is a famous episode where the Bozeman collided with the USS Enterprise D, causing a warp core breach. While being one of the oldest Starfleet ships, the legacy of the Miranda-class still lives on to this day, having recently been featured in Star Trek Lower Decks as the USS Macduff. However, several bits of Star Trek media embraced and used the design before that. A notable mention is the MMORPG Star Trek Online. In that video game, the player will take command of the Miranda-class and venture off. They'll later claim the ship was their first playable starship. The Miranda-class in Star Trek Online is highly versatile due to the number of different ship parts it can use, so you can really make some more unique variants than simply removing its roll bar. Star Trek Online would also make a successor to the Miranda-class with a Reliant Advanced Light Cruiser. These ships have also appeared in modern Star Trek with a series of Star Trek Picard. While only being a background ship, the Miranda-class has made a name for itself in the Star Trek universe and by extension, the wider science fiction community. So, what do you think of Starfleet's most overused starship? I mean, it makes sense why they use it after all. Let us know your thoughts in the comments as always. Thanks for joining us in the Hangar Bay. Make sure to let us know your thoughts, as always, via the comment section below. Hit that subscribe button for more sci-fi videos from your favourite universes. I've been Captain Jack, thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time.